Hey everybody, Chief Meteorologist Brad Petovich. I thought I'd do a quick update on Lee. Even though Lee is not expected to have any direct impact on the Carolinas, I thought I'd do a quick update because we probably are going to see some impacts directly up in New England, and folks in New England definitely got to pay attention. And in the Outer Banks and eastern North Carolina, even though there's no direct impacts, we're likely going to see some pretty good wave, swell, and even rip current issues, and maybe even some coastal flooding with the run up. You can see there's a look at Lee right now, still producing some pretty strong convective or thunderstorm bursts near the center. That is going to continue for a while. I'm going to show you the wider view here in a second, but I want to show you the spaghetti plots because we have really high confidence in the forecast once it gets up to Bermuda. Now, there starts to be a little bit of spread as we get to the north, and this is where things become more problematic. So from about, I would say, eastern Massachusetts into Maine and then up into eastern Canada, that's the spread of the center. But the concern here, that's where the center goes. By the time this storm gets up here, it is going to get really, really wide. It is going to be a big storm. So the tropical storm force winds are going to extend way out to either side really far. So you see the swath of winds that could impact the coastal sections of New Jersey, Long Island, definitely Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. The real concern, though, I think is going to be that run up of the strong sturge that's going to move up here, because if you see as the track heads towards areas towards New Brunswick, the shape of the coast here is really problematic. This shape here and all that water getting pushed in this direction, that is going to produce some significant storm surge up there. But I want to focus on the Carolinas here because even though the storm is expected to pass far to the east, we are going to see some huge rip currents and likely maybe even some significant wave heights there. I want to show you the maximum wave heights over the next couple of days. I was going to hopefully see if this will plot again. Let me see if I can get this to come up. So again, these are the wave heights over the next 90 hours or so. And it kind of shows you there are going to be some big waves out here. And again, notice how they're going to hammer the Outer Banks. If you look over here, these are 25 to maybe 30-foot waves that are going to be pushing towards the coast, even though the storm is going to be way out here closer to Bermuda. So if you're on the Outer Banks, you're still going to see probably some significant wave and coastal flooding. I think even overwash of many dunes and some flooding. Don't let your guard down on the coast where you have susceptible areas to this high wind and wave action. Let me quickly kind of show you the super ensembles just to reiterate what we're doing here with this track. You can see, yeah, it's going to stay mainly to our east, pretty far. Very high confidence forecast here. So this is not something that is, if it's a pretty much a 90% certainty that this storm is going to stay over here. The uncertainty comes in up here. You can see the spread up there. And again, even with the track like this, New England is going to see some direct impacts from this system. Let me show you kind of the steering currents here. These are the main steering currents with the system. I'm going to go out here a couple hours and we'll kind of show you what it's going to look like. Let me go out about 72 hours. You see there's our hurricane, there's our high, there's the first trough coming down. This is why the Carolinas will get saved, because this trough right here is going to be enough to erode the ridge and pull it to the north somewhere in here and not make it go back to the west. So that's the good news. As we even go further into the future here, you can see it gets tugged back to the west a little bit because the first trough lifts out and the next one comes in back in here, and it might wrap it or pull it back to the left or west, which means Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, even Long Island could see some direct impacts from what is going to be a very large tropical storm or minimal hurricane. So don't get caught up in the intensity of the hurricane. It's going to be a big storm pushing a lot of water. So folks in New England, you need to pay close attention, but for everybody else here in the Carolinas South, this is looking like more of a rip current issue for the coast. That is going to be our number one concern. You could see the high probability that this is going to stay just to our east. Kind of what we expected all along. Very good confidence in the forecast, and it's kind of nice to see the model guidance be very consistent here. Of course, we've got other systems out there we got to keep an eye on over the next couple of days. We can start posting about those later this week, but good news for the Carolinas. We are 90 to 95% safe from Lee, except for that surge and maybe swell action that we're going to see on the Outer Banks. So make sure you stay weather aware out there.